Yo, this is Come Inside of Me. I'm Tony. What do I call people that listen to this podcast? Cum queens. I think you all are some cum queens. Let's talk about me for a second. Are you listening to this podcast? Are you sharing this podcast? Are you sending it to your friends? Are you posting about it on social media? Are you doing the things you're supposed to do to help me get out into the cosmos beyond what I am already doing? Because I can't do everything alone, y'all. So I don't know. Don't you have to like rate and review it? Like rate and review it, post about it, send it to people, do all those fucking things. You know what you're supposed to do. I don't need to tell you. You are aware. Support the Patreon, / Tony Naj on Patreon. It's on both websites, my personal and my comeinsideofme.com website. Just like fucking help me out, y'all. Help me out. Put me out into the world. Send me to your friends if you like this. Yeah, I'm just like, come on. I'm just like a one human team. The team of just me. I just have to let that resonate. Okay, it's Free Ball Friday. And also making me self-promote to you? What the fuck? How humiliating. Why are you humiliating me like this? What kind of BDSM relationship are we in? Where I have to be like, oh, man, you help me? Ugh. Why do you do this to me, y'all? Respect though. I just don't think I'm a sub. I think I'm more of like a dom. So I'm like, it's fine. It's fine that you put me in this position. I am flexible and I will continue to contort myself. However, I am asking you nicely and kindly to do the things one does to help a motherfucker out. All right, it's Free Ball Friday. Let's talk about protests. Let's talk about protests because some protests are going to be going down this weekend for Trump's birthday. And I have a lot of mixed feelings and some strong feelings. My feelings are shaken, not stirred. Also, I had the most bonker pants show last night. I went to go perform and I like had my notes of my comedy that I was going to perform. And in the car ride, I started getting super OCD about my car not being clean. And my friend was driving and I was like, we got to a gas station. I'm like, I just got to throw out all this trash in the car. And then I just threw out my comedy. And I was like, wait, what? Like, what was I going to say again? Because I threw it out 100 miles back. I did come out the gate strong with some shit material that just manifested right off the dome piece earlier. And I think I am going to be branded as the shit/diarrhea comedian of my generation. I think I really did some wonderful work with that. But it was a little reminder around the possibility of not always being prepared in order to open the channel to some really important information, i.e. a deluge of diarrhea within the consciousness to come out. But you have to also prepare to be not prepared. And that is something I've worked on for a really long time. But it was kind of a sick ass show, even though everyone was unhinged. I'll tell you about it another time. Let's talk about a protest. All right. I feel two ways about it. Let's talk about the negatives and then let's talk about the positives. Let's go dark and then we'll pull out, okay? That's funny. You see what I did there? We'll pull out. Does that method work? I've never trusted the pull-out method. I'm not a pull-out girl. I'm a condom girl through and through. I don't trust no pulling out. Also, I don't want semen in me all day, just leaking out. No, thank you. Because where do you think it goes? It doesn't just like get full. You don't have a sponge up in your cooch. It leaks out, just plopping around. Right in the underpants, if you're wearing them. If you wear a condom, you don't have the semen leakage. Okay, back to protests. Do you like how I've just been zip-zopping around the subject? Why is that? Because I'm torn. I'm torn apart. Let's talk about Palantir and the surveillance state and the police state, because I do think it's all interconnected and entwined. And I know we want to blame the Republican Party and be like, oh, this is because of Trump. He's the one doing this. Meh. But Palantir as a company has been around for, I think, 20 years. This has been in the making. Like, I think the thing that is complicated and complex and disheartening and confusing is the coagulation between the two parties and how they work together in order to promote certain agendas. And I think what happens is you have the party reputation around a certain cause, okay? So let's say the Republicans have this cause around freedom, right? Like they really talk a lot about freedom and autonomy and freedom and state rights and not a lot of federal government. So when you have a Republican president and everyone's like, yes, my guy, yes, it's my guy, then what the status quo will do is they will push the agenda of that party's like commitment, right? So if that party is committed to state rights, so much federal work will happen because that party isn't going to fucking say anything. Because it's like, well, it's my guy doing it to me. Back to the BDSM. I mean, the amount of BDSM relationships that we are in, again, not to kink shame the BDSM sexual community, but that is consensual. That is a consensual dynamic, goddess willing, that people are participating in. The BDSM of this political climate is really more like of this brainwashing. I'm not convinced it's consensual. I mean, I guess I could say we're all, available to self-reflect and to really look at things in a deep way. But when we're so programmed and conditioned in these two-party lines, do we have free will? I mean, that is a deeper conversation. Sometimes I think free will conceptually is really rooted in the pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of like libertarian mentality where you're not going to take into consideration your socialized and conditioning fucking chaos that has poisoned your brain and psyche. So free will, not sure. However, what I am sure about is that because we have this Republican president that has this like cowboy posturing, same thing with Georgie Bush, baby Bush. He was a cowboy. Remember the amount of times he would give speeches with his foot up on a fucking fence, wearing a cowboy hat, and he'd be like, hey everybody, it's just me, Georgie Porgy. I'm just here in my Texas ranch, taking your rights away with the Patriot Act, the cowboy is the one that is going to grape you of your freedom. And you let it happen because he's the cowboy representing freedom. You get what I'm saying here? So everything that the Republicans value within their quote, I'm not even going to quote unquote their moral compass. The amount I say quote unquote is redonk. But I say it because I keep wanting to remind us of this rhetoric that needs to be questioned. That's why I'm always quoting unquoting myself when speaking. But boy, when you're just recognizing like the deep level of exhaustion you feel, that is what I feel in my soul right now. But I think that because we have this Republican president, our freedoms have been deeply attacked. This cowboy has gone after them. And we must talk about the police state and the surveillance state and Palantir. We cannot talk about protesting without talking about Palantir. So obviously what happened was you get the Republicans to sign off on this data collecting through the immigration argument. Like, oh, we got to keep track of all these immigrants. Forgetting the fact that we're like literally inviting them here and hiring them and treating them as functions of the economy, further dehumanizing them. Fine. But we also must track them, and we're going to track them with this software. Of course, the rhetoric of the software company is not like, yeah, we're part of the surveillance state. So if you gonna go Google it, you're not gonna see on their website like, we're here to watch you. It's working. No, they're trying to protect their brand. Also, just PS, if you want to understand Palantir, just understand that their stock has gone up 400 something percent in the last year. Okay, this isn't a coincidence. This is some insider trading because people understand the profiteering of data. They get it. And when you want to know, well, what is Palantir really about? Ask yourselves, who are the customers of Palantir? It's not you. You're not like, well, let me just sign up for Palantir really quick. Yeah, oh, let me make my Palantir profile. No, no one is doing that. The customers of Palantir are government agencies and the medical industrial complex. Those are the main customers because your data and your DNA is the hot commodity of the future. This has been a transition that's been happening for some time because I do think that the status quo understands oil as a commodity is going to be replaced. And it hasn't yet. Obviously, we can just look at Gaza. We can look at all sorts of, tomfoolery that's happening in the Middle East. We can look at how the drastic effort to just not inhabit or promote or invest in clean energy is still, very much happening. You can look at the commitment to crude oil, to oil and plastic. It is obviously still a part of our economy. However, there is a shift happening. There's always, if you're going to be a moneymaker, you have to understand where trends are going, not where they are. Okay? You don't make money because you're like, oh, I'm going to invest in Google now, or like maybe Bitcoin. Yeah, if you wanted to make money on Bitcoin, you should have been awake doing Bitcoin mining 20 years ago when people didn't fucking think it was going to be a thing. Like the way you make rude money, like blood money, is by anticipating where the blood chaos is going, where the blood rituals are going. So data, that is the new commodity. That is the new economic stronghold of the global economy, as is DNA. That is why you have so much chaos going on within the government and within the medical industrial complex. And we have to look at that. We have to be honest about that. All right. So what I think is happening with these protests and these databases is that they are using racism, they are using xenophobia, they are using these psychological existing constructs that have been built within the American, infrastructure, the racism and the xenophobia. It's truly, it's the foundation of which we've built the nation, over, of course, the bones of genocide. So they are using the psychological construct in order to get people on board with this database journey. And they had to do it under a Republican, because can you imagine if some liberal cuck was doing this? No. And if you're like, no, the Democrats are not wanting this either, well, let me just tell you something upsetting. Even though the Democrats posture as if like, oh yeah, ICE is a bad thing, we don't want ICE, get out there and protest, everybody. 75 Democrats just voted in Congress to appreciate ICE. It was like ICE Appreciation Day in Congress, and 75 Democrats were like, I'm into it. So the Democratic Party is not anti-ICE, and they are not anti-database surveillance state, police state. Sorry. I mean, I don't want this to be the case either. I would love to have a political party that like actually represented my values. That would be sick. That would be a sick dick. However, that is not the Democratic Party. That is not a progressive party. That is still a party that is prioritizing capitalism. And they will fall in line with this data infrastructure that is being built on the back of Palantir, which sounds like a fucking wart. Who names their company Palantir? It's like That's something that grows on your foot, you know? That's not a fucking data company. I mean, ugh. But the problem is, and I've made a video about this. Hey, are you watching my videos? Can you watch all my videos and share my videos? Can you do that? It'll take you 4 seconds. I mean, unless you like violently disagree, but I don't know. Are you really violently disagreeing with me? And if you are, you're not even listening to this podcast. So just go share my videos and share this podcast. Just maybe that should be your personal brand, is sharing my personal brand. I actually love that for us both. And if you want me to promote something and you're doing something, if you promote me and you're doing something interesting that I would vibe with, send it to me and I will promote you. All right. I'm not an asshole. I'm not saying we should have a parasitic relationship. I want our relationship to be reciprocal. I'm like looking for reciprocal relationships right now. So I'm not trying to be no energetic vampire. All right. But I am giving you a podcast for free. But also, I will promote your shit if you have cool shit. I love promoting cool shit. Oh my God, which reminds me, someone made me candles of myself and I need to promote the candles of me that she made. It was really crazy to just like receive candles of the self. So with these protests, I think that we can't get confused in the sense that it's us against them mentality. What it really is the status quo using the military, using the police as a platform to suppress us. And then you have, of course, the white supremacists who are like, yeah, we support, I mean, the white supremacists, what are we gonna do about y'all? Can you guys send this to some white supremacists you know? Like, I do want to talk to some white supremacists. Oh, I also want to be on some conservative men's podcasts. This is my dream right now, is to be on some conservative men's podcasts and have some real conversations and to talk to white supremacists, because we gotta get over this white supremacy stuff. The amount of manipulation you can do to a white supremacist to make them just like talk about a cuck. I'm not trying to insult cucks, by the way. I think a cuck is probably a really nice guy. It's just in my vernacular right now because people keep calling people cucks. So, long story long, about these protests is I do think that what we want to be clear about is we're not protesting purely this administration. We're protesting the entire system that would allow this kind of blatant corruption and tyrannical work. And P.S., corruption and tyranny and fascism is woven into the fabric of our political fucking flags. Okay, like this isn't like, wait, what? This is the first fascist and tyrannical thing that the United States has ever witnessed. Abso-fucking-lutely not. No. No. We could even argue it's been pretty tyrannical and fascist the whole time, especially if you're not a white landowning man. So I think the point of these protests is not to direct our anger at human beings, even though human beings are being dumb AF by protecting this oppressive, corrupt system. No, the point of these protests is to direct dissent towards the system that is benefiting from the current regime. Right? Like this is what we have to separate ourselves from, because the dehumanization of the other is ultimately dehumanizing of the self. And that is what I did make a video about, talking about Palantir, is that when we dehumanize immigrants, when we dehumanize ICE, when we dehumanize the military, when we dehumanize the politicians and the businessmen, I'm having an itch fest over here. This is obviously an activation. When we are in this process of dehumanizing the other, then we ultimately dehumanize the self, which is how Palantir will continue to dehumanize us, which is how we will allow ourselves to become data. Because we'll be like, oh, I guess I am data, because everyone has like been dehumanized within my psychological construct of how I see people. You have to recognize that we have all of these attributes of the politicians, of ICE, of the billionaires, of the military, everything that exists within another exists within you. So if we want to decolonize ourselves, decolonize our bodies, we have to address our own inner policing, our own inner war machine, our own genocidal consciousness, our own ice baby, our fear of the other, right? And we have to do this. Okay, so I also think that when we think that protesting, I'm just talking about the negative. We're going to get to the positive, okay? I'm almost like done with this part. Protesting is only, again, it's only part of a puzzle. And we have to understand that the tentacles of the octopus that we're trying to collectively create to really, use all 8 arms, all of our Kali Ma arms to restructure and rebuild how we self-organize. We don't want to be too self-congratulatory about anything. I think that's where we get hubris, and that's where we get complacent, and that's where we get, I don't want to say like lazy, but it's where we get, okay, I did it. I went to the protest. I did it. And then ordering on Amazon the same day, or I'm going to order on Amazon the things I need to go protest. Friends, no, we can't do that. We can't live in hypocrisy of optics, right? We can't be like, oh, I'm talking about it, or I'm going to a protest, and yet my dollars are still supporting the very systems that I'm protesting. We can't do it. We cannot do that. We have to be more strategic about how we are financially participating. And that means making sacrifices. That means doing research. That means being hyper aware of what it is you are purchasing. That means addressing the existential hole in your soul that tells you, if I buy more shit, I'm gonna feel better about me, or that I need that. And trust me, I'm dealing with it. We're all dealing with it. This isn't coming from a place of like, I live completely off the grid. Okay, I live in a solar powered yurt and no, I'm using a fucking iPhone. I have technology. I'm not a dumbaroo, okay? I get the hypocrisy and contradiction, but when we all work together, we can build new systems of sustainability. It is not that bonkers or bananas. If we could build a system of complete corruption, we could build a system of sustainability. One is not easier or harder than the other. It's actually really complicated to be corrupt. It takes like a lot of those people that are con people, you know them, right? Ever met a con person before? They work hard. I've had I had a business partner, such a freaking con man. He conned me. I am easily conned. That is real. I've gotten so much better, but I am easily manipulated. Oh my goodness. I just want to see the best in everyone. Just want to acknowledge their primal wounds and feel for them deeply. And then, oops, I'm conned. It's happened more than once. Also, I have been conned buying drugs multiple times, but God is blessed. I guess they needed the money, but I did need the drugs. So kind of a bummer. Anyway, they work hard to con. It's not like conning is easier than just doing what you said you would do. So it's that psychological rush of being the con person. And that is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a con person corrupt system that are getting off on conning us, where we could instead work with people that get off on sustainability. Come from sustainability. Come from the earth. You actually do come from the earth, but go stick your dick in some soft soil and fuck the soft soil and come that way. Dry hump a tree, and then let's build a sustainable system around that. That's what we need to be doing. We can't keep coming on fucking conning each other. So let's talk about what I like about protests before we wrap it up, box. Okay, so what I like about protests is it is so healing. It is so healing on such a profound level. First of all, think of Mama Earth, okay? all of those feet coming together to march and walk and be and stand as acupressure for the earth. Are you kidding me? She is, it's just, I think it's giving the earth massages. I think that the earth feels the collective massage, the acupuncture. I mean, if we could just get everyone to jump simultaneously, all listen to the same music. Turn it down for what? Do, 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 whatever. I don't know the song we should all be jumping to. I mean, probably something that's a little more politically driven, but if we were all jumping at the same time, could you imagine the seismic shift that we would create on planet Earth? That kind of like collective acupressure. Whoo! That would be interesting. So the coming together energetically is healing to the earth, okay? It is also healing to the collective. I'm sorry, you've gone to a protest before and you felt the energy. It's electric. Boogie woogie, you can feel it. It's electric. Oh, that's what we should all be jumping up and down to, the electric slide. No, truly, we should be doing a collective electric slide tomorrow. I mean, that's a vibe. But that is important. That collective support is energetically important. That is for you to plug your batteries into each other and feel that. Like, yes, like feel that spell that is being cast of concern, of solidarity, of connection. It is deep, 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 profound, embodied spiritual work to come together with an objective. And that cannot be denied. Even seeing it, even seeing drone footage of a protest, I feel it in my heart. I feel it in my cells. I feel it in my DNA. I feel inspired. So we cannot forget that. Even though I'm going to say it's not the only thing we should be doing, blah, 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 all the I already said, that does not take away the utter beauty. And then you get to meet people. You get to talk to people. You get to make friends, maybe find a lover, maybe find someone to finger blast or be finger blasted by, maybe a butthole tickle, whatever fancies you. Sexuality, creativity, connection, love, all of these things can happen in a protest. And of course, you're gonna have a very strong force trying to disrupt that. And that is what we can't fall victim to. I mean, I listened to my podcast on Wednesday. I talked about the conflict of violence, you know, what is justified violence within an incredibly violent system. It's something to consider. We're still working it out, but I definitely think that coming together in these powerful moments of display and just radiating love is the ultimate power. I do think that. I do think that. And I know we want to be angry at the military and the tanks and the ICE and the police and them attacking. And of course, how can you not be angry? It's not to deny one's anger. That is not the point, but it's like I keep thinking of the Care Bears and they're just like hearts so open and just like shining open their hearts and just like projecting this love, projecting this peace, projecting this way of being, this like high. And this isn't about, I just hit my microphone. It's not about spiritual bypassing. You have to feel it. And I guess that's it. That's the truth of it. This is what I guess we have to be real with ourselves. Where are you at right now emotionally? If you're feeling rage, live your fucking rage. And if you're feeling that spiritual love and that deep connection and that deep, open heart, then you live that. Be authentic. Maybe that's all we can ask ourselves, is to be authentic and to remember that sad is mad and mad is sad. These are not different emotions. They are the same emotion. How are you going to show up? Because if you're mad, you're sad. And if you're sad, you're mad. I don't know, y'all. I do think the protests are important work. They're not everything, but they're crucial. And I do think the spell that we cast when we come together in dissent does impact the status quo. Because if it didn't impact them, they wouldn't be bringing the military in. Okay? And if it didn't impact them, they wouldn't be doing all this data collecting, Palantir, Wartfoot bullshit on us. If they weren't afraid of us, they wouldn't be trying to control us. And this is what I need myself to understand and for us all to understand, is that if we weren't in a corrupt system, we wouldn't need to be controlled. Yeah, the only reason why we need to be controlled is to protect corruption. I mean, that was a queef. All right, thanks for coming inside of me and letting me come inside of you. If this is valuable to you, let me know. Also, Monday is coming up. Please send me your questions for Ask Me Anything Monday. comeinsideofmepodcast@gmail.com. Share the more details, the more I can get to know you. But like, don't write too much because I have to read it, and sometimes I stumble over my words. And you know, people's attention spans are only so long, including my own. Actually, I have a really long attention span. Not to brag. I love you. Bye.